Hello, all of my fellow CEREC and InLab users. Today, I present to you a video on digital wax-ups. Digital wax-ups do require the InLab software. I know that a lot of the CEREC users out there, some of the few that I work with, have the InLab software. So if you don't have it, digital wax-ups are kind of well, they're just not possible with the CEREC system or the CEREC software because you can't virtually seat your designs. You can do pretty much everything except virtually seat, which, um, is a required feature to complete a diagnostic wax up digitally. But anyways, I'm just going to walk you through the process on how to do this and some of the techniques that I use to ensure that we have a really nice, predictable wax up. So firstly, we're gonna go in here and label or indicate the teeth that we're gonna do a wax up for. So this is pretty much the full mouth. This tooth was extracted, and with ortho and whatnot, we're kind of left to only put 3 incisors in that region, unfortunately. But after you indicate all of your teeth that you're going to do a wax up for, you just simply go in here and you could check mark anything, or you can indicate anything, ivoclar, you can call it whatever material you want, but you will have to call it something. And then you're going to go into the model phase. Now, this case was sent to me through Sirona Connect. The dentist sent the scans. Nothing was scanned on my end. So I just took the scans. And one thing that I do require from the dentist or the CEREC user to create a digital wax up is 2 scans in each jaw. So we've got the upper jaw, but you could see this is virtually prepped. So you're going to want a second scan. All you got to do is copy and paste the scan into the biocopy catalog. So what that'll allow us to do is still be able to see where the teeth are, where they're positioned, how big they are, how small they are, whatever. You can see all of that still when you overlay the biocopy scan onto the upper jaw or lower jaw, because to virtually prep, you're gonna, in the edit model phase, you're gonna click replace, and you're gonna go around each tooth and replace that tooth. And after you replace it, it's gonna pretty much take it down to nothing. So, in order to make a predictable diagnostic wax up, you're gonna want that biocopy scan. Just so you're not making anything that's not realistic. Also, the biocopy scan or the pre-op scan is good for referencing adjustments that need to be made. So another requirement for a wax up is a pre-op photo. Pre-op photos typically of the patient smiling, that's good enough. You could do the lip at rest, a side profile view, all that jazz. But when I'm doing a diagnostic wax up or a smile design, I'm typically just looking at the photo of the patient smiling. And then, based off of that photo, I'm not going to show you this patient's photo just for confidentiality purposes, but they needed improvements. This jaw was oriented, I would say, about like this. It was kind of crooked. So we kind of leveled out the occlusal plane with this wax up, and I'll get into that. I'll show you that. But one thing that you can do to orient the jaw in a proper position is when you go into set model axis, that's where you're going to take care of that. So you could see that it's kind of like crooked, so and then once you set this properly, you can always go to the I'll show you what you can go to, but let's get into the design. So your first step in the design phase are the parameters. You're going to adjust the parameters as they're set here. Spacer 0, occlusal spacer 0, minimal thickness on both 0, marginal, everything 0. And then this ramp, I leave it all the way up because that's going to make it as flush as possible. I would show you, but I don't want to really adjust the design at all. Positioning, oops. Oh, okay, good. So it didn't adjust anything. But as I was saying, in the model phase, when you set the model axis, you can go to this feature right here, view options, and have a consistent view of the front. And then also, when you overlay the biocopy scan, you can see how things were diagonal before. And we've leveled it all out. Diagonal, leveled it out. Diagonal, leveled it out. Yep. So yeah, this wax up turned out really nice. You know, and then when it comes to marking the margins, you're also going to use this biocopy scan or the pre-op scan and mark the margin where the tooth naturally emerges. And that's going to also add to the predictability when you go to do a suck down or whatnot for the temps. It's going to be extremely accurate. You can see what we've done here. It turned out absolutely beautiful. I'll take away this, show you the lower jaw as well. Got a nice occlusal plane. This is going to be a total success once it goes into the mouth. We've got nice occlusion all the way across. Very, very thrilled with the results of this. But once you've got everything designed as we do here, you're going to go back into the administration phase. And then right here, you're going to click Insert All. And this is where anyone who's using the CEREC software isn't going to be able to move on with their wax up because you're going to need this feature. And you're going to click Insert All. Should instrument geometry be considered? Because this isn't being milled and it's going to be 3D printed and you can get pretty much every detail with a 3D printer. You're going to click No. And that's going to give you an exact identical mock-up or file to print of the design rather than kind of trying to accommodate milling burrs. So you're going to click No. And also when you go to virtually seat, another thing that will kind of prevent you from being able to virtually seat your design is if any of the margins that you marked overlap each other, you're going to have to go into the model phase and adjust that margin so that nothing overlaps. You can't have the margins overlapping, but you know, that's not really that big of a deal. That happened to me once, had to learn that the hard way, and then just go back into the model phase, redraw the margin. Sometimes it'll leave your design the way that it is. Sometimes it'll repropose. That kind of sucks, but it's really not too much of an obstacle. Also, you have to label the teeth as crowns when you're doing a wax up. It would be more convenient if you could label it as a bridge, because then you can adjust the ponic margin really easily, but it won't virtually seat a bridge, so they have to be crowns. But now you can see in the model phase, everything's virtually seated. Looking good. Great occlusion, you know, considering what we started with. And I'm also going to do another post with some photos of this, and you guys can get a really good in-depth view of what we had to work with. But now this is virtually seated, upper and lower jaw. Then you're going to go over here to Apps, from the drop-down menu, Apps, and then InLab Model 18. And this module is a free module that comes with the InLab CAD software. So you just go on to SoronaDownloads.com or whatever it is. You just Google Sorona InLab Downloads, and it'll take you to the page where you can download this module. And, you know, you're good to go. It's actually a really good model creating software. It's super user-friendly. So if any of you guys out there are CEREC users and you want to do your own digital diagnostic wax-ups, by no means are they the easiest thing in the world, but it can be done. It can be time-consuming. I think this one took me about, it's almost embarrassing to say, but it took about like 3 hours, and that's just because I put a tremendous amount of detail into the design and everything. Everything I put a ton of detail into. Even the interproximal contacts with a wax up, You can technically just leave these contacts red without adjusting them to green, but then you get little discrepancies in here in the model. So I make sure that all the contacts and proximal contacts are green so that you don't have any discrepancies. And again, it can be time consuming, but if you really want to, be in control of that and do it yourself, your wax ups, you will need to get the InLab software. But once you're here in this app, just clean up the model, go over to finalize, and you're ready to print. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to leave them. Please reach out if you have any questions or comments. But how am I going to close this? Till next time.